At some point, it becomes like a normality, and this is what's scary. It's hard for me to also feel too bad when I know that people in Gaza are living in hell for a year.
Welcome to Battle Lines. I'm Sophia Yan, Senior Foreign Correspondent for the Telegraph.
We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent.
President Zelensky has for the first time acknowledged that his forces are conducting a cross-border offensive inside Russia.
I just find bombs and I find dead people, but it's a really scary thing for me.
Today we have two guests, Ben-Shabbat and Nadim Tali. Two best friends, both in their 20s. They hail from a village that's one of a kind, the only place in all of Israel where Jews and Palestinians choose to live together in the same community. In Arabic, it's called Vat al-Salam, and in Hebrew, Neve Shalom. It means Oasis of Peace. For decades, the village has been an experiment in working out differences between Jews and Palestinians. I visited about 2 months into the Israel-Hamas war. Like many people around the world, residents were significantly impacted by what was happening. One big point of contention was that some Jewish Israelis were being called up to serve in the military. The Israeli military is a potent symbol of what many Palestinians consider an Israeli occupation of their land. And for people living in a village that promoted peace and togetherness, putting on a soldier's uniform certainly ran counter to those beliefs. This was one of the hardest things that came up between Adam and Nadim when I first caught up with them on Battle Lines back in February. Adam had been called up to serve as a reservist. Here's what they're thinking one brutal year into war. Welcome back to our podcast. We spoke near the beginning of this year about what it was like to live in the Oasis of Peace and how the two of you were responding amongst your group of friends. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are now, a year on into the war.
I don't think my general thoughts are very changed too much. It's just that the heartbreak is deeper. At some point, you're like, it becomes like a normality, and this is what's scary. I don't know. It's hard for me to also feel too bad when I know that people in Gaza are like living in hell for a year, including obviously the hostages. I don't know. Like a year have passed. It kind of became something that is part of your day to day. Like you don't really think about it as much as you thought about it in the beginning. And this is what, when you think about it, makes you even sadder. What do you think, Adam?
I think that since the last time that we've talked, not a lot has changed. Just time passed. And yeah, I would say, as Nadim said, that just the heartbreak is getting bigger. Now we have a new rise of war, and I think we're on a break of maybe something bigger. But yeah, it's still, I think that Gaza is the biggest thing still. There is this war with Lebanon, war with Iran, and the Houthis and everything, but still we cannot leave and stop thinking about Gaza, about the Gazans people, about the hostages. And a lot of people have moved to the new war. And, now there is a lot of soldiers that went to Lebanon, and all eyes are going to this direction, to the north. But yeah, our heart is still there, and our thoughts are still there.
It's only getting worse and worse. I remember when we first talked, in my head, I thought that this war or whatever this is not going to last too long. I thought it's not sustainable on both sides. And unfortunately, I was proven wrong. When it seems every other day, like something new pops up, and it makes the situation even worse, especially in the last month with the escalations in Lebanon and Iran. And like on Tuesday, it was like the biggest attack yet, or here, like that we felt. And yeah, it seems like it's only trending in the wrong direction, which is very scary. And to be honest, I don't know. I don't see when it's going to end as well. And this is also maybe the scariest part.
Do either of you have any theories about why this war has lasted for so long? And you're right, Nadim. I mean, many people didn't see this coming. I mean, I myself remember doing stories at the 2-month mark of war. And even then, it was already very unprecedented that things had lasted for so long. And now we're a year in.
I think that my theory, or maybe it's the main theory, Adam will tell us, but our president, Bibi Netanyahu, has gotten himself into a situation where in his head, the only way to salvage his position is to get total victory. This is the slogan that they use, and this is their goal. And total victory for them means eradicating all our enemies, in their words. The hostages situation is kind of been brushed to the sides, not by the people of the country, but by the leaders. And it seems like Netanyahu is trying to salvage his position, like he's trying to salvage or save his job, and he's willing to do whatever it takes. And in his head, bringing down Hamas means he gets to keep his job and he gets to get a total victory. Yeah, that, and I don't see how anyone wins from this situation. It seems like we all lost, but this is the slogan that they use.
Yeah, what do you think, Adam?
This is, I can't really comprehend the fact that our prime minister to believe that this is really his mission, his
intentions.
Yeah, his intentions are like to keep his job. But this is what I'm afraid of, that it's really true. It's hard to believe that someone, like a person that also lost a brother in wars, can do such decisions to keep his job. But like we are all like I'm starting to believe it really deeply, but it's still hard to think about it and to comprehend that a person and a man can do that.
Can be this egoistical or selfish.
Yeah. And also there is a big part, maybe a half, maybe less of the population in Israel that really wants the war to keep on going and to end it finally. And, there was so many years of build-up. And there are people that really believe that we need to live in Gaza and that it will be our land. So this is like not the happiest days, but this is their way to go. And I think that our prime minister is trying to make them, this part of our people, happy, and that they will vote for him again and that he will keep his place. But there are also a lot of people that call for the end of this war and to make a deal that will bring back the hostages. Yeah, I think we all see the news. Like I follow your Instagram account also, and I see what you're publishing. So, and like a lot of people that are ministers say that we could have done a deal, but there is someone that stop it, and it's not just Hamas. So it's really sad.
Yeah, and the Hamas leaders, Hezbollah leaders assassinated in recent weeks. Do you think it is possible to achieve what Netanyahu has said, which is to eradicate all threats, to really hit that goal?
This is something we talk about a lot. And I think what a lot of people are missing is Hamas and Hezbollah. It's not only like a group of people that if you get rid of them, that's it. No, it's some sort of ideology that those people live by. And this ideology was brought up because of violence and occupation and hate. And in my opinion, as I see it, even if, let's say, they bring down all of the Hamas leaders, in 10 years, the kids that are in Gaza today that lived through this hell will grow up and they will want some sort of revenge. And maybe it won't be Hamas, but it will be something else. And I think this cycle will not end. And this is my biggest problem with Israel, like ways of doing stuff, or with their plan. That I just see it in 15 years or 10 years that there will be more terror attacks, or there will be more attacks on Israelis because of what's going on right now. And to be honest, I can't like really blame the kids or whoever is going to happen, because I can't even imagine what they went through. So yeah, I don't think this is gonna. Let's say after this whole thing ends, it's not gonna be a safe place all of a sudden. There's gonna still be attacks, and I think it's gonna be even worse.
Yeah, I think that history and the history in Israel and Palestine have proven us that to assassinate the leader won't bring ceasefire and peace. I do believe that if alongside, since the 7th of October, we had the plan for the day after the war and some ways to end it and to bring the Palestinian people some solution that we, as the stronger side, will manage. It could have done better than what we have right now. Also on Hezbollah side, that we need an agreement to put on the table after we do, like before we do all those attacks, and to have something stable and that will be maybe afterwards, and not just like assassin and attack. We saw when Salah became the leader of Hezbollah, we assassinated I guess, I wish I'm not wrong, but we assassinated the leader before him, and then he went to be the leader. So now what will happen if we don't bring like something?
That's the thing. Yeah, it's not it's not only the people. It's certain people. It's an ideology that people that again goes from hate and violence. And right now, hate and violence is through the roof. So you can only imagine what kind of people are going to go out of it.
Given everything that you've said now about the difficulties in eradicating the threats, have the two of you discussed more in depth about what a potential solution might be? How this war could end?
Yeah, we tried, but it's really complicated when you look it on the regional conflict. But if you look really closely, it's also really complicated. But I guess we both like support and the two-state solution. I think we think Nadim, can I say it?
Yeah.
Like we think that it's the only possible, I don't know, solution maybe.
It's only the realistic solution.
Yeah, for the Palestinian and Israelis. I'm not going to talk about Iran, Houthis, and all the Shia militias.
Yeah, I think if there was I don't know how realistic it is right now, but I think a two-state solution would have calmed the whole Middle East down. I think it will be much less animosity towards Israel if there was a two-state solution. The reason I'm very pessimistic is if you just take a look at Gaza. Like there's till this day, there's not really, or there's not like a day after plan. Gaza is in a state of total destruction. I can't even comprehend the amount of trauma that the people there went through or are still having. The amount of PTSD. I don't know. Like, how do you even start?
Yeah,
Like,
we
help
see
those
what's going
people?
on here since the 7th of October, and we see how many people are in trauma. So we just imagine what's going on there without therapists, without
Have
proper
homes, people don't have food.
Yeah.
How do you even start and get those people to a state where they can think about a diplomatic solution? I just on Tuesday there was this attack from Iran, and it was very scary. But again, when you go through this attack, you can just imagine what like a Gazan citizen goes through or went through for the past year when they don't have the Iron Dome and they don't really have shelters, and when missiles come, they come straight from fighter jets, and it's like I can't comprehend what they go through, and I don't know how long it will take to get Gaza and the West Bank, that is also a very major issue that we don't talk about enough, to a state where the people there are ready to talk about a diplomatic solution.
We have so many problems to solve in our community, in our people, that looking for a solution with the other side, it's so far-fetched. And I had an epiphany this month that I'm talking to Nadim and the guys. And then when I talk to people that are Israelis and I don't agree with them, and I started to think, this is so far. If I don't agree with my people on such major things, to start in thinking about the solution between them and the Palestinians on the other side, it's so far away that I don't know even where to start. We are living this village and friendship between us, and we talk about it every day. But for the Israelis and the Palestinian reality, it's just so far away.
In terms of following the news, are you both still keeping track every day about what's going on, or have you reached a point where you sometimes need to take a step back because of how traumatic and sad the news every day can be?
Personally, obviously for the past year, I've been keeping track with the news, and there was times where I was it gets heavy on your soul and you need a little break. But generally, yeah, I keep up with the news.
Yeah, I think I had the time that I was really addicted and a lot on Telegram, and I wanted to see everything. and to think about everything and to decide what do I think about the situation and how should I act. But now I'm more following like passive and not active and not asking myself so many questions as before. Yeah, and just see the news every day. You get sad and you keep moving.
What are the interactions like now with your families and with other village residents?
Actually, I got cookies from Nadim's family
We
because we
also
had
got
a holiday. But it's complicated. My dad is really on the right wing side of the village, that it's really left wing on the Israeli people.
Can you explain what your father's been doing that's been so polarizing for the village?
Yeah, he have a food truck that he goes from base to base and he serves food for the soldiers. And also like he's active on the WhatsApp group, so of course it brings a lot of arguments there. But I think that this is like the thing that have brought a lot of arguments and criticism over him and over the family, of course. And yeah,
he's active on the group, on the WhatsApp group, with a lot of, I don't know, Israeli centered rhetoric. And it's, let's say someone, I don't know, posts about, he brings, I don't know, he's bringing no one really in the WhatsApp group or in the village almost in general is really spreading the Israeli rhetoric, except for Adam's father.
on WhatsApp, yeah. Yeah, I think the main thing is the food truck that people are like really offended by it, that he supports the military. But it doesn't come towards me that I've been in the military and my brother have been in the military in this war. So, and a lot of people, and not a lot, but some people on the village as well. But this is, I don't know, volunteeringly and straight to the face. So it brings up a lot.
Generally, the relationship between our families is good. Not maybe as strong as it was before, but it's still good. And the relationship between the people in the village also, like you need to remember, it's been a year when people have their own life to live and they can't really, as much as you want to, you can't really think about the situation and talk about it every day.
I think that the war did a lot to the people of the village. Sadly, it brought them, I would say the truth, more hate towards each other, mainly because of the WhatsApp discussions. It's so hard to talk there and have like a good discussion that will lead to something except hate and separation. And people took a step back, I think, from the idea, from hope, and they became more to their side instead of together. And this is really sad to see, because the wars before and also the beginning of this war, maybe we had a little hope to come together. And the wars before, there was like, okay, this is the only sane place to be in and to live in. And now I think that it's a different story and people became more connected to their side.
Do both of you still believe in the experiment of the village to be able to live together, Jews and Palestinians, in the same place and to try to work out differences?
Yes, I would say completely yes. I think it have its limits right now, and I think we have a lot of work to do still. But I think that the fact that me and Nadim and the guys are friends and we can see each other's perspective, it's so big that we can, like, I wish that everybody here in this country, in this region, could have this. And even if we don't agree on everything, it's so strong. And the day that we will have a possibility to change this conflict, if 50 or more percent had the opportunity that we had to be friends and to connect on this level, it could have been possible to change the future. So I really think that it's important to still build those bridges between Arabs and Israelis, Jews, Arabs, Muslims, Palestinian and Israelis, all of the people of the region. I think it's so important, even it's on the smallest scale, it's still valuable and it still maybe will change the future if one day we'll have an opportunity and it will bring impact if we'll get bigger or I don't know if we just build enough bridges like we have.
Yeah, I think the village experiment or whatever is extremely important. First of all, to prove the general notion here in this country is that we can't live together, Arabs and Jews. So the first thing that the village does is prove that it's obviously possible. Another thing, the village, let's say our governments made sure to test the village and to test the village hard in the past couple of years with all the conflict and wars that has been going on. And I still think that the village came through. It was difficult, but I think the village and the village resolve came through in the end and showed that even through the hardest of times, the village and its principle is still on its feet. Another thing is, I think if one day there would be change in this country, is going to come from people like me and Adam that had to experiment what we experienced, that grew up together, that know the other side like the back of their hand, and not only are closed in their own bubble. So yeah, this is why I think the village experiment or whatever was extremely important. I don't know. I don't want to say it was a huge success because I don't like. How can you say something succeeded when what's going on is going on? But I still think that the village and the village existence is extremely important, and hopefully one day we'll be able to achieve something or to do something to really make a change.
For the two of you, do you feel that you've learned something new about having gone through this experience? I mean, just the two of you, not for the whole village, but given your close friendship and the way you grew up, always trying to understand the other side. Do you feel like this particular war has made you think in new ways about each other's perspectives?
I think if I learned something, all of the things I learned are kind of negative.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't learn anything new. I kind of knew this country and what this country will do. We talked about this in the first interview that me and Adam, like as soon as the 7th happened, we both said that Gaza is gonna get destroyed. So like we knew what's gonna happen because we know Israel and we know Israel policies. The only like it's unfortunate to say, but it's only if I learn something is like I can't stay here. This is why I learned. I don't know. Like it's sad, but this is the reality of the situation. Like I learned that it's the bridge between Palestinian and Israelis are much longer than I thought. We're so far away from each other. Yeah, I think this is the only. I didn't learn anything that I didn't know.
I think we lost a little bit of our will and our motivation to change this place.
Can you tell me about where you do agree and then what areas you disagree on?
I think we both agree that the war needs to end. We both agree that as long as this goes, or we both, I don't know, Adam will maybe tell us that because I'm not sure, but we both agree that this, like maybe eradicating Hamas is not going to be the end all be all, and we're going to live peacefully. We all agree that, again, a two-state solution is the only option.
That agreements will bring really security to the people of this region. We both agree that the Palestinians need a country to live in. We both agree that the Jewish people needs a country to live in. We both don't trust this government. We both think that Hamas is a terrorist organization that, I don't know, we don't support them. It's clear. What else? I think the part that we don't agree on, it's maybe still the military, maybe still that I think they demand or they want for me to really leave, and
we want him to abandon Zionism, and we want him to say what I say or we say that the IDF is also a terrorist organization. We want Adam together.
And this is a big thing because I think the completeness of things, the whole thing, this is our big difference, that I'm not in the place that I think that everything that Israel is doing is all wrong and all bad.
I'm not in that place as well. And there are people in our friend group that are. I think most of the stuff that Israel does is bad, yeah. But not everything.
Yeah. So I'm not still on this complete abandonment of my going against everything that my country stands for or doing. So yeah. So on the 100%, we don't agree, but on the 95, we agree.
What do you encounter when you talk with other people who aren't in the village? I mean, Adam, you said before that you feel that you should have more conversations with other Jewish Israelis. So what is that like for you and Nadim? What's it like when you talk to other Palestinians about what's going on?
I think the Palestinian side, it brings you more optimism. I don't think the Palestinian side is as far away from a solution or from the middle ground as the Israeli side. There's obviously a lot of still not ignorance, but kind of pushing the other side to the side and kind of ignoring it. And this is what you mainly talk about when I encounter a fellow Palestinian, that I try to bring the other side kind of perspective, even though it's very hard again to do it when the other side is doing what it's doing.
Also, just define that it's also they are separated between Arab of 48, like the ones that lives in Israel, like Nadim, and the ones that in the West Bank and the ones that are in Gaza, and like Palestinians that are abroad. So it's really different between each and every one of them.
Someone who lives in the West Bank is not going to have the same perspective as someone who lives here, because obviously the situation is very different.
Yeah, great. Is there anything else that either of you would like to share?
Maybe Adam can talk about how far, when he talks to fellow Israelis or fellow Jewish Israelis, how far are they from us?
Wow, they're so far. And now just the hatred is beyond the roof. Also, of course, I guess on the other side, on Israelis, it's impossible to even, it's so radical to talk about peace right now that you are really ashamed to even bring this up when people are dying every day. But I think that the main, our arguments are about the land, that the land is holy and that we need to fight on it against everyone. And also about the hostages. It's so hard that people are willing to continue the war instead of bringing a deal that will bring them back. And sadly, there are many people that are like that in Israel. They all want them back, of course, but they believe that if we release prisoners, they will do another attack like the 7th of October again in few years. So they're willing to sacrifice the hostages to bring security to Israel in the future. That's what they believe. And yeah, I have more arguments with them than with Nadim. I just want to say that if maybe someone that hears that and just believe what we believe, that we can solve this and we can live alongside each other or even together as we do, we welcome you to talk to us, contact us on Palestinians, Israelis that living abroad, Israelis that are living in Israel, Palestinians that are living in West Bank, that have left Gaza. We just call everybody to, I don't know, spread the message, contact us, and maybe we can build enough bridges to make this work in the future.
One last question about the village that I have is if there are still meetings in place. I remember right after the 7th of October, it took some time for everything to sort of be absorbed, but then there were town halls where people were gathering to talk. Is that still going on? And what kind of dialogue is happening within the village now?
So now there is none. There are protests because there is every Saturday, there is a big protest in Tel Aviv mostly to have a deal and to bring back the hostages. And I think one time it even got to like 600,000 people that have been in Tel Aviv to protest. But we also have a small protest just outside of the village on the main road that Palestinians and Israelis are protesting to end the war, end the war in Gaza, bring the hostages back. And yeah, but there is no dialogue right now.
I think it's me and Adam reached a point where everything is kind of clear and there's nothing to have a dialogue about. It's you're on your side, you have all the information in your hand, and I don't know.
I disagree. I think we have a lot of work to do in the village to get to the point that me and you are in, like that we have talked so many times and the village, like the whole village haven't talked so much, and I think we have a lot of work to do, and we're not doing it enough.
That's all for Battle Lines this time. Please join us again next week for more of the Telegraph's best foreign reporting. Goodbye. Battle Lines is an original podcast from The Telegraph. To stay on top of all of our news, analysis and dispatches from around the world, subscribe to The Telegraph or sign up to Dispatches, which brings stories from our award-winning correspondents straight to your inbox. We also have a live blog on our website where you can follow updates on Israel and Gaza as they come in throughout the day, including insight from contributors to this podcast. If you appreciated this podcast, please consider following Battle Lines on your preferred podcast app, and if you have a moment, leave a review, as it really helps others find the show. As disinformation is a particular problem during conflict, we are relying on your support more than ever. Battle Lines is part of wider Telegraph foreign coverage in our podcasts. If you're interested in finding out more about the war in Ukraine, you can listen to our sister podcast, Ukraine the Latest. Battle Lines is produced by David Dagahi, and the executive producers are David Knowles and Louisa Wells.